Hi, this is Paul. So I monetized the channel. How's it going out there? I've earned $30 and I think I've instilled way more than $30 worth of punishment on I don't know how big of a group of you. So I made the video last week that, again, just to review why I did this, YouTube announced a change in policy. It was going to begin monetizing some videos from unmonetized channels. Now, I never monetized my channel, partly because I hate ads, partly because I was just sort of doing what Jordan Peterson had done. And so I had never monetized it because there's plenty of videos you can click on. How much money do you make on YouTube monetization? And by many accounts, not much. Now, my sister has a smaller channel than I have. You can find her Ann Clay, Anneclay, and she does home decor. And when I was back in Massachusetts last year helping her set the thing up and her channel got started, and I looked at the demographics of her channel was mostly women who are over 55. And apparently her real name is Ruth, or she goes by Ann, Ruth Ann. Her channel has a whole lot of women, many of whom aren't even logged into YouTube. And I think they're buying stuff from home decor that my sister and my cousin Mel are talking about. And so my sister, who again is her husband is about to be laid off. My sister isn't employed, and so YouTube's going to be a big piece of their income. So she told me she got $1,000 last month from monetization. I thought, wow, that's not nothing. And but I hate ads, and so we'll talk about that. A little bit about how YouTube revenue works to the best that I can understand. They will show an ad. If you click on the ad, there'll be some additional compensation. If you buy through it, I think there'll be more. But most of my experience with ads has usually been just an ad at the front end of the video, and after 5 seconds, you can click skip, and then you go. I didn't know they put ads in the middle of the videos, and one person said there was 18 ads in the nuance video, and I'm thinking that's a catastrophe. And, again, part of why I never monetize the channel is I don't want to hassle you all, and basically for no reason. But the problem is if YouTube starts monetizing my videos and I haven't monetized my channel, then basically you get the annoyance of the videos without, and YouTube keeps all the money. Plus, if you're like me, I never watch ads on YouTube because I have YouTube Premium. I've had YouTube Premium for years because it used to be Google Music, and I like the locker feature of Google Music, and now they're phasing that out, and they're pushing everything down into YouTube Music now. So I've always had the family plan of YouTube Premium so that my kids also didn't have to see ads, et cetera, et cetera. And that's why I really didn't know whether ads would even show up in my videos. But apparently there are things in my videos that can be monetized, like buying gold or, and then when I did my video, then I started, so I monetized the channel, and then you go through the whole thing, and then it says, okay, monetize the channel. I just clicked yes. And so bang, it's all there. And then when I did my rough draft for Sunday video, it was like, do I monetize this video or not? Do I decide if I'm going to monetize some and not monetize others? And what's going to be my criteria for monetizing some and not monetizing others? Or, this whole channel has been just a playing with things. And so here I'm learning a lot of stuff from you. So keep the comments coming. It's helpful input. So, but this is the way this is going to go. We've seen this with the .com thing where they start out basically gathering the audience, and so you're giving away free stuff, but the longer this thing goes on, the more return they want to get on investment. So the .com strategy is basically give a free ride at first, grab an audience, and then slowly get the money out of them. And YouTube has a near virtual monopoly. And so they're going to act like a monopoly. And actually, as I continue thinking through this, and again, keep the comments rolling on this because I'm very interested in terms of what I should be doing with this channel, and if I should broaden out on other platforms, et cetera, et cetera. Part of me, if YouTube's going to spam up my content with ads, well, I don't know. Do we just make it egregious? That doesn't sound good for some of you. So the variability of YouTube ads is important. So then I go into a browser where I'm not logged in. So then it's just, I'm a non-logged in viewer just looking at YouTube plain. And so then I thought, well, what kinds of ads am I going to see in my video? How many ads are they going to be out there? But I didn't spend a lot of time doing it, not anywhere near as much time as you all will be if you're just letting my content run. So, yeah, I talked about this already. It's usually not a lot of money. If you just dismiss the ad quickly, nothing comes of it. If you let the ad roll, I think there's something. I don't know. The number and type of ads vary greatly, apparently. So again, this is all the algorithm based on your profile, what you watch, whether you fit the advertisers. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes in terms of whether you'll see ads at all or whether you're just going to get shellacked with ads. And then my clickbaity title, like, something hotter than your neighbor's life. Yeah, I know how we work. Those tend to get me in trouble too because the algorithm reads, and tries to associate these terms. And so I'm going to keep experimenting with this thing. Now, I'll just summarize some of the comments that I've read, and of course you can read them yourself on that stream. Some of you said, "Oh, your channel's worth it. Go ahead. If you can get a little support for this, that's fine." A number of you, like me, already use YouTube Premium, and I hadn't never thought of this before, but all of you who do use YouTube Premium, YouTube just kept all the money. And at least if I monetize the channel, I don't know exactly how that works, but I guess some of your YouTube Premium money would go to me, which is fine. Some of you say I already use an ad blocker, so you don't see ads, and that's fine. I've often used ad blockers in certain browsers, Brave browser, and other browsers have it built in. Opera, Microsoft Edge, a bunch of browsers have it built in. If you're using Chrome, I mean, Google is an advertising agency. That's their business. And so if you use Chrome, they're not really gonna block many ads, and Google's gonna make sure they get all the data they can out of you. So I only use Chrome usually for when I'm actually using Google products, because often Chrome works a little bit better for some of the Google products. I've had it with uploading videos that if I'm uploading it in Opera or Firefox or Edge, that the upload doesn't work as well as if I'm uploading in Chrome. So I use 4, 5, 6, 7 different browsers, and of course there's different there's different engines underneath these browsers. So Microsoft Edge is using the same Chromium as Google Chrome does, and there's certain browsers that share that. Firefox sort of has their own platform, and then there's other subsidiary browsers like WaterFox, and so there's a lot of different browsers around there. And so I actually tell people to use different browsers and log into, like, I use Facebook in one browser, I'll do Google in another browser, and so I'll differentiate the browsers, because Facebook is pulling and Google's pulling in all of this, and Microsoft is pulling. They're all trying to harvest you in one way or another. And of course, there's DuckDuckGo, and there's lots of ways to deal with the tracking threat. So some of you are already using ad blockers, and apparently that helps filter out some of the YouTube ads. So, hey, if that's what you go, I'm not offended at all. And some of you said, ugh, there's too many ads already, and they're disruptive and offensive and inappropriate. So I'm going to have to check out some of the settings on monetization and figure out how this works. And again, part of me is almost, well, let's punish Google for the ads and start using ad blockers. And like I'm about to say, you can get my content on other platforms. You don't have to get it through YouTube. Now, there's real issues with that we'll talk about. So here's some of the options for avoiding ads. On YouTube, well, YouTube is big and convenient. And if you've got an Android phone or an Apple iPhone, they've got the apps for it and all of that. And YouTube Premium, again, which is a service I use, I'm I'm all Googled up, and so I watch content on my phone. I like it in the car. I don't want to see ads. YouTube Premium just fixes all that. Are you giving the man money? Yes, you are. That's if you're using any Google products, you're in it, and I'm in it pretty deep. So on YouTube, use ad blockers, use YouTube Premium. It's just a very convenient platform. Now, the audio only version of my podcast, it's hosted on Podbean, and it's you can get it through iTunes, and you can get it on Pocket Cast and some of the other podcast platforms. There are no ads on my audio version, at least unless somebody's sneaking them in. Now, Joe Rogan moved to Spotify, and part of the reason he moved to Spotify is Spotify sort of wants to do to podcasts what YouTube has done to online video. We're going to see how this goes. And so some have said, well, you should get your podcast on Spotify. I might. The only thing with Spotify, I can have Podbean export it to Spotify like they already do to iTunes, except that I have a bunch of my older videos where I didn't recompress them into MP3, and so I would either have to delete some old episodes or go back and reformat some of those old episodes, and I just haven't sat down to do that, to take that time to do it. So it could be that when Joe Rogan finally makes the leap to Spotify, I'll go through the old collection of episodes. They're mostly the conversations that are not an MP3. And I'll probably maybe delete those from the archive and go to the other. So, but the audio only version has no ads, and so I always have to remember that a lot of people, even though I've got it in my bottom part in my notes every time, here are the links to the audio version, a lot of people don't read the notes. And so there is an audio only version. You can get it in iTunes. You can get it from Podbean. You can play it in your other podcast platforms, and there are no ads in that, which is sort of the reverse of Joe Rogan, because I listen to Joe Rogan both on podcast and on YouTube, and there's a lot fewer ads in the ads are right up front in the podcast version. So maybe Rogan just monetizes his YouTube stream, but all that's going away, of course. Now, there's some alternate networks out there, and one alternative network that I've been on for a long time is Library. And I got onto this because there's a New Zealand developer who came onto my channel early, and we talked, and he's got some relationship with this. And this is like many of these blockchain networks that is supposed to have like a cryptocurrency incentivization in it. And so all of my videos are up on Library, and you can find my videos there and you can play them there, and I'm almost positive there's no ads on them. I don't know if the performance will be the same. I don't know that there are apps for your mobile devices. I don't know how easy it is to get it on your smart TVs. That's the thing about Google. I just bought a new TV because my wife is basically, she wants to banish the wires, and I got lots of wires around the house because I'm always playing with this stuff. So I got a new TV, and it's a smart TV, and, Android TV is integrated into it. And so I can pull up YouTube, and if you've got a YouTube Premium account, so there are no ads on YouTube on my smart TV. If you don't have YouTube Premium, you're probably not going to run an ad blocker. You're going to get shellacked with ads. So, and I don't know that you can necessarily run Library or BitChute or ThinkSpot or any of these alternative networks, but I'm already on Library. Jordan Peterson's on Library. You'll find a few other familiar faces on Library. You can find my videos there, but again, that's mostly if you're watching it from a PC. I'll continue to think about some of these other places. Somebody recommended Minds, which I didn't know anything about. They seem to be sort of a Facebook alternative. ThinkSpot, of course. I've never gotten onto ThinkSpot. I never got onto it because I wanted to first see if I actually used it. And I watched the Peugeot Sargon of Akkad video first on ThinkSpot, and then Jonathan posted it on YouTube. What Jonathan Peugeot said about YouTube has been my experience too. The majority of the audience is there. YouTube's capacity to discover new things is there. They've just got a huge advantage over these other platforms. Now, that doesn't mean we shouldn't be playing with these other platforms, because it might be that these other platforms are the future. And many of these blockchain platforms, you don't know what blockchain is, you can look that up. They're a lot more resistant to takedowns. So, but sometimes some of these other alternative platforms are a little bit sketchy too. And I know some, especially Christians, are a little bit more sensitive to, pornography, violence, some of these things that very well might be on these alternative networks. So I haven't really jumped full into them. I know Jonathan Peugeot, when he did his website, talked about that he found a developer so that when Jonathan makes a video, they get populated to his BitChute and all of these things. But I tend to watch Peugeot on YouTube, again, because I have YouTube Premium, and I don't want to make this video into a commercial for YouTube Premium, but that's how I've managed the ad problem, and it is a problem. So again, I've got a bunch of questions about this blockchain. So I just pulled up library.com and tried to play one of my videos. It took a little while. Now, I would imagine with the blockchain technology, you're not going to get the kind of instant performance you're going to get from a hosting service like YouTube that has vast resources and very fast server farms and. I mean, that's part of Google's advantage, is they're wealthy and they're massive and they're going to perform better. But blockchain is less easy to disrupt. Somebody made a comment that all of his most interesting channels were already taken down by YouTube. That's an issue, and they're going to be on these other networks, and I worry about the signal to noise, because the same .com effect with respect to these channels are probably going to be the same, and that sort of leads me to, should I could do sort of a free version on YouTube, and you have to suffer through the ads, and then maybe, I haven't done a freemium or a paywall thing, but I could do just videos hosted on a website with no ads, and I've thought about some of these things. So it's just one of the things for me too is I don't want to complexify my process of making videos, because I'm not fundamentally a content creator. At least I don't think of myself that way. I think of myself as a pastor, and I want to build community. And so I don't want to just be about content creation. And if you haven't seen that about my channel, perfect example. I've just been running through slides and been running this thing full. See, I've been running through slides this whole time. Here's the no ads. Here's the no ads video. There's the no ads slide. The viability YouTube ads. The comments. I made all these little pretty pictures. I didn't even show them to you. Maybe the pretty pictures don't matter. I don't know. My daughter recommended that I post the PowerPoint and or the PDFs of these on my Patreon platform, just in case people wanted to get them. There's more things, and I don't know if I'd put them. You have to be a member of Patreon or not a member. I don't know. I'm always playing with these ideas, and I'm trying to figure out the best way. So yeah, this is what I'm thinking about. There's the evolution of wineskins, and actually I want to make 3 videos today. I was going to make 2. I want to talk about Carl Lentz, and Jordan Peterson just dropped his video about his new book, and I really liked the summary of his new book. That really got me excited. Jordan didn't look very good, but he sounded good, and the content sounded solid. So I'm terrifically, I'm a lot more optimistic about Jordan's future now. So I'm really excited about this. But there's always an evolution of wineskins. What is a local church? And this conversation is really important, because there's always a ton of change, and we never quite know what the change is. And even people who are working really hard to resist change, the world still changes around you, and we're always interacting with that world. And so, yeah, And I think about, I was just getting into the church this morning and thinking about, okay, we had another death in the church. And with COVID, I don't know where this goes. I don't want to pastor another church and have a church just say, no, we just want you to be our local pastor. We don't want you to work with this online community. No, I want to develop this online community and see where it goes, but I don't want to be divorced from a local church. So I'm trying to figure out what my career looks like going forward. So far, Living Stones is still open, and thanks to the generosity of many of you who are contributing to the church, the church runs pretty cheap for the most part. I'm probably a majority. We've got the building to heat, and we can't really have renters right now because of COVID, but we're trying to keep the church open, but it's a small church. But at the same time, I've got a large online thing, and this online thing I see as really credible ministry, and I see this as sort of an experimentation space in terms of what ministry and church and everything looks like going forward. And so, when Eric Weinstein, I went back to when some of his earlier editions of the portal, and he's talking about, this needs to be sort of a financial enterprise. And, a couple of you have leaned on me heavily for that. And I kind of dismissed you, and some of you got annoyed with me and, had a little drama about some of that. But, I still listen to you, and I'm trying to figure this out. That's basically it. I'm trying to figure this out. So local Protestant pastor is one model, and this channel has been a grand experiment, and it continues to be. And I have to keep it efficient, and I have to eat, and Eric Weinstein talking, getting closer to retirement. And it's like, yeah, me too. Now I have a denominational pension, which won't be a lot, and I have Social Security, which hope it keeps in, and I'll have Medicare, which at some point will take the heavy lifting of my medical things in the future. But my wife and I are working on house stuff, and we have 5 kids, and 4 of the 5 still live in Sacramento, and 2 are living at home right now, 2 daughters, and 1 son is away at college, and another son lives apart. And quite frankly, what we'd really love to do is live on sort of a compound. I don't want my kids dependent on us, but I don't want them far away from us. And so that means, I'm probably not going to take a church in another part of the country. My wife has a career here in Sacramento, and so there's just a lot of, COVID has sort of taken a whole bunch of things and sort of thrown them up into the air, and in real time we're trying to adjust to all these things. And so how do these new tools and spaces create, shape, deform, reform? I started my career as a missionary and then as a local church pastor. And what is it that I am now? And, still figuring that out. The Bible talks about don't muzzle the ox. So, and I have anxiety. I've got issues about money. I mean, I grew up being poor for Jesus, and I don't think that's a bad thing. But some of you have pushed back on me and said, well, there's some issues to that theological perspective as well. Not that I'm going prosperity gospel, health and wealth guy. I don't think I'll ever do that. But, I do have to think about what retirement means, and I do have to take into consideration some of the sacrifices that my wife has made over the years because of my decisions to always prioritize ministry and not really worry too much about money. So, I don't really, yeah, all those things are in me, and I'm just being transparent about who I am. So there's the evolution of wineskin. So keep the comments coming. I do read as many of them as I can. And even if I don't heart it, it doesn't mean I haven't read it. And when I first started this channel, it's like, which comments do I heart every comment that I read, or do I heart just the ones that I like, or what kind of message does a like or a heart or a love or any of these kind of things say? I don't really know. So don't read too much into it, but I do read them, and I try to figure out. I'm just trying to figure this whole thing out because it's really big and new and confusing. So yeah, keep the comments coming. I really appreciate them. And I'll be watching for the continued evolution of this platform. Um, library, all I had to do with library was basically put in some things, and whoosh, every time I upload a video to YouTube, it sends it right over to library. And initially there was a glitch because they had a limit of 2 hours. It's like, what? 2 hours? Sometimes we're just getting started. So, but they fixed that now. And so all my videos uploaded to library. So you can find them all there. You can find them all there advertising free. Now, if you're just deep into Google because they're on your phone and they're on your smart TV and probably ad blockers aren't going to work, then I'd say pay your either $10 for a solo, but $15 a month for 5 accounts. Find a bunch of buddies, and that's $3. That's $3 a month for no ads on Google. That's not a bad deal. So if you can't get away from Google and you're on things other than PCs and you can't ad block on your smart TV or your smartphone, those are really dumb. My real concerns are what happens when sort of this general purpose PC goes away, and then we see that going on in the Apple space. So, find 4 other people and get together and do a YouTube premium account. Because, on one hand, we might complain about this or that about Google and YouTube, but on the other hand, they're incurring massive costs for server space and app development and all of that. And, in many ways, if I have the money, I'd rather pay than have them necessarily being a parasite off my information. So that's the deal, and that's basically what I have to say. I think I'm just going to upload this now. Some of these smaller videos I'm sort of interspersing behind the main ones. Like I said, maybe I'll get 2 other videos done today, and then I'll probably keep with my usual pattern of releasing them in the morning. So thanks for listening, and again, let me know what you think, and let me know what your experience is.